Hello, creative friends. Welcome to another video. I am struggling to find natural light. It's getting dark so early, and I just got home from a puzzle competition. This is something that I've done many, many times before, and I'm extremely bad at it, but it's really fun. And I go with my mom, and yeah, there was like 17 teams this time, and we came in somewhere around like 12th, which is like pretty good, honestly, considering that we were having a lunch at the same time, and I had a mac and cheese, and it was really yummy. So I had a great day, and I thought I would pop on and do a little video, just because now we're getting back in the swing of making content. Is this too high up? Can you see me okay? Am I in focus? My messy kitchen's in the background, so you can ignore that, please. I was trying to think of what I wanted to do for another video because I'm just trying to make it more cool and casual and chill to hang out together. Because I've gotten feedback, you guys just like to hear me talk about stuff, and that's great because I love to talk and I live alone. So there's a lot of, well, that's not true. I live with Blueberry and she definitely hears a lot of me yapping. So I thought I would tell you what I've been up to with my art business lately because I've been doing some cool stuff. I would show you some stuff I've made. I just have some things around here. I did some textile art, I would say, which is just another way to put it. I've been sewing and making things with my art on them. And I think I might also work on a painting this evening. So I think I'll film that and put it on the video as well. So you can see me do some painting on a new project that I'm working on. I think I talked about it last time. It was inspired by this book. So anyways, yeah, so updates. What have I been doing? I've kind of been sick. I've been under the weather a little bit. So I have taken more days off than I've meant to lately, but I'm feeling good today. I have two gallery shows on the go right now, or actually one isn't open yet. So last video I showed you my two paintings. I think I showed you both. Anyways, I have one painting in the Acadia Community Art Show that is at Acadia University right now in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. Sorry, I forget that a lot of people I talk to aren't in Nova Scotia, but yeah, that's one of the shows. I was in that one last year as well, but this year I just have one painting, but I really love it, and it's a piece that is part of the series that I'm trying to work on, and that's what I might paint later today. The other one I dropped off at the Argyle Fine Art Gallery down in Barrington in Halifax. Dropped that off this week, and interestingly, when I did that, I really like everyone who works there, and I hang out and I show up and hang out and loiter there sometimes. But I was with my brother, so we had other errands to do. And after we left, I got a call from them, and they said, "Hey, can you come back? The news is coming to interview us about the show, and you could be an artist that we feature in the news." I'm like, "Okay, sure." And they said it would be like just a paper interview, but I get there and there's like a camera. So it hasn't aired yet, but I was interviewed for CTV News Atlantic that is coming out tomorrow, which is Monday. I don't think that's relevant TV wise to most people watching, but they were going to do a web article as well. So if and when that's out, I will link it in the video description if you want to see the article about me. Caveat to that, I was really excited to talk about my work, and I've had interview stuff before, so I wasn't super nervous for that, but I was not prepared physically for being on TV. So I had just been outside walking in like super high wind and cold. I didn't look in the mirror. I don't know. At least I wasn't wearing just like my uniform of like a tracksuit. I was wearing like a nice jacket. But yeah, I don't know what it looked like. So it's easy for me to be a little not self-deprecating, but just a little self-conscious. I think having done YouTube for a couple of years and having done a lot of online courses and also some teaching, like has really helped with me not being nervous to the point of not doing those things or self-conscious to the point of not doing those things. But I still am very much human and can look at myself and be like, look at my chubby round little face and my flat hair, and I look like bags under my eyes, whatever. So I'm just being honest that I'm gonna try and be really cool when I see the video of it. I don't even know how much they'll include. It might just be like literally one sentence from interviewing me, because they had another artist who came by too. So there was like 4 people in total that I interviewed. So for a small local news segment, I'm sure that won't amount to too much airtime. Anyways, but that was really cool. So I get to be on the news talking about my art. I got to hold up my painting, the little bunny. I think I showed you already. Or in the last video I showed you, I don't have it anymore to put it on screen. Yeah, it was really cool. How interesting to be able to be on the news and be like, see, like Rebecca Wilson, artist. That's so exciting. It feels so real. I mean, it is real, but it feels real. Yeah, so that was cool and happened this week. What else is going on? I've been painting a new greeting card series. I'm trying to phase out all the digital art from my store collection. Just for consistency's sake, I'd like everything to be watercolor going forward. So there was a few cards I wanted to take out, and I needed more in my collection. So I've been working on those. I have about 12 cards painted. I'm not sure that all of them are gonna make the cut because I was sort of working on developing this illustrated manuscript kind of style. And by the end, I feel like I had it really good, but there are some pieces at the beginning I'm a little less confident in. So we'll see. I have to digitize those and clean them up to make cards, probably tonight, which conflicts with my plan to paint, but I'll figure that out. I have 2 wholesale orders to fulfill this week. I'm just waiting on some supplies to arrive. And I'm applying to a bunch of spring shows, but the one that the deadline is for tomorrow is the Toronto Stationery Show, which I've never done a show out of. I have done out of province, but not in Toronto. And I really want to because I love Toronto. I was born there. I lived there for like a few brief months before we moved to the East Coast. So technically from there. And yeah, I think it would be a great show. So I'm just trying to work because on the application, they want all the photos in your store, which is what they're using to judge, to be actual photos and not digital mock-ups, which I think is fair. And actually I kind of prefer as well. But because I make so much stuff, I do have like my cards and prints for mock-ups. So I did the prints already, but I still have to photograph all the cards. So I think if I get everything ready tonight, I can do that tomorrow when the sun is up again, because it's sort of going to set very soon. And I don't have all the cards printed. Okay, so that's what's new. I want to show you a few things I've been making. These are not things that I have on my store, but I might at some point, I don't know. These were because I was doing a market, like a vintage market, where I was using secondhand fabrics to make some items. So I just want to show you, like I made these cute little bag charms, little teddy bears. I think they're just really sweet. I drafted the pattern myself. And they have a little loop and I sewed little faces. I don't know if that's blurry or not, but they've got like little actual teddy bear eyes I found at the art store, the sewing store. So they have like proper little hard eyes and I stitched a little nose and I made like a bunch of them. Actually, this is my first one. See, it's got different ears. But yeah, so these were something I made. I have these little other little bag charms with like, I got some of my art printed as iron-ons. So I have a heat press for that. And I sewed this little, it's got like a little pocket on the back. It's got a little mouse and a bow. I don't know, I just think it's a cute little bag charm. And I sewed some bows as well, like big floppy bows. So I don't know, these are just some odds and ends I have here, but I sewed some tote bags. Hold on, let me show you. I have all these bags that I sewed, all with secondhand fabrics that I thrifted or located otherwise. So I made these little bags. They're like, it's like a crossbody with the strap, and it's got a button on the front. This is a pocket. There's one of my bunnies on it, and it's got like, opens up, and it's like big enough for a cell phone and a wallet. Like it's just a cute little crossbody. I love this design. I think they're so cute. And I have 2 or 3 left. I have 3 left. Those, oh, there's 2 designs. There's like floppy ear bunny or bunny with a flower. I think those are so cute. And then I made some green bags. So it's like, I call this my mini tote size because it's like a tote bag but slightly smaller, but they have a really good length strap. So the strap is all handmade. They're lined with more thrifted fabric. This is a nice cotton. It's got a pocket on the front with the little border and the bunny with the flower. And it's got my studio name on the back. So I made a couple of those. I only have 2 of the green ones left. And then I have a bunch of these other totes, which are like a canvas material on the outside. And they're all lined with different material, or they're all cotton linings, but they're all different patterns and really cute. And they're, yeah, my art on them. So This one is my pomegranate, quilted pomegranates design. These are all prints in my store as well. This one is the carrot harvest design. Quilted squares. Got some pomegranates in it too. And then I did a couple of the Kitty Sisters because this print is so popular, so I thought it'd be popular on a bag too. And I guess I sold the rest of those ones. And I have a couple of the Lemon Drop is the name of this bunny. So yeah, those are just some stuff I've been sewing, and I'm really proud of them. I think they're really good quality. My mom's a really, really amazing seamstress. So when she saw them and she like gave me a lot of compliments, I felt really good because I'm like, okay, I actually impressed her. So I've been working hard on building my sewing skills. You can see behind me is like where I do my sewing. There's a little table by my kitchen. So yeah, that's what's new. Actually, I don't feel like I ever put my charms on. I was doing painted charms over the winter and mostly the summer. I have them on right now. There's two on this necklace, but I do like little polymer clay shapes. I make them myself with the hoops on the top, and then I paint them. And I actually have like a good handful of them right here. I was gonna maybe photograph. They're really cute. This one is like strawberry. Sorry, this is probably too small to see because my camera doesn't have autofocus. But I did like this one's like an actual landscape. So they're really cute. And they're like very handmade and one of a kind. So I guess, yeah, everything I was showing you is like more of like a one of a kind thing that I'm not having bulk manufactured, and I won't make them necessarily forever. Like I'm not saying that I'll always have tote bags in stock, but I have them right now. So I think all the bags I showed you, I am going to photograph tomorrow and put them on my store. By the way, my store, I'm only shipping in Canada right now, so I apologize if you're outside of Canada. Maybe one day. But yeah, so that's the sitch. And I think that was probably a pretty lengthy catch up. So that's what I've been doing with my art business. Maybe I'll film and I'll do like a voiceover. I had some stuff I wanted to talk to you about in terms of like balancing being a retail artist versus a gallery artist, which is how I've defined the two sides of my art practice right now. And I love them both very, very much. But they're really different mindsets. So I have some thoughts on that. Maybe I'll get that in a voiceover. Okay, I'm gonna go clean the kitchen so I can set up my paints there because the paper I want to paint on is so big that I don't think it'll fit on my painting desk right now. I'm doing a big watercolor and I'm nervous and I'm actually not even confident I have the right paper. So I have to go check that I have the right paper, clean the kitchen and set up. I'll move you guys over. It'll probably be dark by then, so the lighting might change, but we'll do our best and I'll show you what I'm envisioning for this new piece. I think it'll be cool. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. Bye. Hello, it is voiceover Rebecca here, and I'm here to guide you through the next rest of this video. Okay, so I want to talk about some artsy stuff, but I also want to talk about what I'm actually doing in the video. So I'm going to just kind of go back and forth as the context changes. I didn't speed up any footage this time. I thought it was just kind of pleasant, especially the painting part. So just for some overview, this is me setting up. I am using watercolor paper. I believe this is, what is the brand? It's not Stonehenge paper. I don't remember the brand of the paper. It's one I don't typically use, but it is watercolor paper with a decal edge, which is cute. And I'm just taping it down, even though it will inevitably curl up. And as an aside, some of the paintings I was doing lately were curling, and I just ironed them with my heat press that I use for, it's like the heat press iron is like a big 9x9 flat iron. Anyways, did a good job. I don't know that that's necessarily advisable, but it worked well for my piece. And what I'm doing is, in this part, is a technique that I have been trying lately, which is using painter's tape. I'm just putting it on wax paper here just so that I can work with it without it sticking permanently. And I'm drawing on it and then cutting out the shapes to use as resist for when I'm painting. And that's a technique that I'm using in this series of paintings to make little houses. So yeah, I think it's a pretty cool technique and it's been working pretty well. I will say that you definitely don't want to drench the paper too heavy where you're doing it, but I do find that it's more accurate than masking fluid in my opinion. I tried using masking fluid on a few test pieces and they just were kind of lumpy. I don't know if I'm just bad at using it, which is possible, but it's fine. So that's what I'm doing. I've just been drawing these houses for the bigger piece. I just want to talk a little bit about the piece and the series that I'm working on because it does tie into my overall thesis that is like, I want to talk about like retail versus gallery art. So this collection is like sort of my first foray into more of like a fine art conceptual piece. And one of the primary texts that I'm using as inspiration, or I guess my starting point for my research on this line of thought, which I mentioned in my last video, but I'll talk about more here, is The Old Ways by Robert Macfarlane, which is a book about walking, and specifically walking in England, which is a place that's very near and dear to my heart. But I'm still working through the book, so I'm not totally done it, but I've been highlighting sections, and I just want to read a paragraph to you that kind of gets started this line of thinking for this project. And this is what it is. Paths are the habits of a landscape. They are acts of consensual making. It's hard to create a footpath on your own. The artist Richard Long did it once, treading a dead straight line into desert sand by turning and turning about dozens of times. But this was a footmark, not a footpath. It led nowhere except to its own end, and by walking it, Long became a tiger pacing its cage or a swimmer doing lengths. With no promise of extension, his line was to a path what a snapped twig is to a tree. Paths connect. This is their first duty and their chief reason for being. They relate to places in a literal sense, and by extension, they relate to people. So this thought of paths being something that are communally created, but also creating narrative, which is another concept that's not in that particular section, is what I'm kind of exploring through here. So what I'm making are these big landscapes that are a little abstract, a little, a little loose, but have these buildings, and I'm illustrating different ways that the paths would be formed through these communities. Which is drawing the paths is a step that I actually don't cover in this video because I'm just showing you how I paint the background. And I think that if you study the paths in these things, it tells you stories about the people who live there just by looking at the foot marks of people. So that's where I'm going with this whole project. And I'm exploring it by making a variety of maps that tell a variety of stories. Maps isn't really the right word, I don't think. I guess landscapes. And so that's what you're seeing me paint. So I think it's really exciting. I'm very interested in this concept and seeing where it goes. And this book also has talked about personal topographies, or like how you can tell a biography through a landscape. And that's an idea that I want to get into as well. Maybe after I get these initial paintings done and work on the concept a bit, I would really like to do a version that was more personal to me and see how I can express personal biography. What was the word? He used a phrase somewhere in the beginning of the book that was like biogeography. Like if you can picture the way that word is spelled, it's like biography and geography working together. Anyways, I think it's cool. So the thing that I want to talk about was like retail versus gallery is sort of the direction I'm going with my business. And this is a subject that I've touched on in other videos, but this is like where I'm at with it right now. So that's why we're starting fresh. I, as you probably or may know, have been doing like retail art for a couple of years. And what I mean by retail art is pieces that I have painted with the intention of them being displayed or made into products. And I think this is a really super valid way of approaching art. It's a way that means I can make a living, and I also really enjoy it. So a lot of this art is stuff that I think is visually interesting, things that have subjects that are personal to me or relate to me, but they don't necessarily have a narrative, like a deep overlaying narrative to they're not part of a bigger project. And that's sort of how I'm differentiating like my retail art from my gallery art, is I'm trying to create things to put into gallery shows, which I've had the great luck, or I don't know if luck is the right word, but of being part of a few so far. but I want to make things that are more in the fine art field. And I feel like fine art is the way of labeling these more high concept pieces, I guess. And also, let me just quantify that this is just how I'm approaching it. I'm sure other people have different opinions or ways of defining this kind of stuff, which is all totally valid. Yeah, so I've been doing a pretty good job with my retail work and exploring some themes that are really fun. I've been doing, like I mentioned, this card series that is like illuminated manuscripts, and it's been really interesting developing like a typography with my own hand, which has been really cool. And I wonder, like, as I progress with these landscapes, like, do I want to incorporate text in this image somewhere? Do I want to, is that veering too far into map territory where I want to stay close to landscape? I don't really know, but it's really cool to be making multiple pieces in a series that let me reproduce something and change a variable every single time. One of the things that I've talked about before is that before being an artist, my main career before this was academia. So I was in grad school and then I was teaching at a university. And I left that because I dropped out of my PhD program partway through because I got sick and I needed to get better, and I did. But then when I got better, I didn't really want to go back. So then I changed my life and did a whole different thing. But that was obviously a really hard decision, and certainly one that I don't regret. But like, it was really hard because obviously that was something that I was really passionate about. You don't go into academics for the money, that's for sure. I did it because I loved it. And what I have learned in sort of building my art career and learning more about myself as I continue to grow up is that what I loved about it was the ability to find an idea and just like wade around in it. And in academia, that was sort of like doing a research project and, you know, reading a lot of papers and then coming up with a concept and then articulating it in my own writing, arguing it, citing it, etc., and building a body of work in response to those ideas that was written. And like, that's just how it works if you're in the humanities, I guess. And for a long time, I've really been missing that because there's not really a lot of, I mean, you can do that independently, absolutely, and I think lots of people should. But when you're trying to, you know, make a living doing stuff, it can be hard to prioritize like a bit more of what I would just say is like indulgent research. Not indulgent in the way that it's not worthwhile, but like it just feels indulgent when it's like, oh, the rent's due. So, so I haven't really been able to tap back into that, and I've missed it because not only did I enjoy it, but it was kind of part of my identity. And I think that the what's a way to say this? The thoughts that I was having back then were really good and worthwhile. And I was getting a lot of positive feedback. I got a lot of opportunities through my research and ideas that I had. So I felt really, really encouraged back then that I was good at this critical thinking and, I don't know, the kind of topics I was researching. So yeah, that being something that I didn't get to do anymore and don't have access to, like I don't have a university I'm affiliated with or anything anymore, I felt really separated from that version of myself. And in a lot of ways, for a long time, I've had some self-doubt whether I was still capable of that level of intellectual work, because it does feel a bit like a muscle. Like when you don't work it, you feel like you lose it. And maybe not the raw ability, but certainly the ability to talk about it, the way that you can articulate these big thoughts in a way that I've always really prided, here I am, like, yeah, this is my good articulation. I've felt a lot of pride in my ability to clearly articulate ideas, and I've gotten feedback that that was something I was good at. So it's almost felt like that skill has atrophied a little bit, and I've missed it. So with all that being said, I think I finally have realized that there is another way that I can tap into that same interest, and it's through my art. And this is a very, very exciting revolution for me, especially because it's coming at a point in time when not only do I have enough of a baseline figured out for my art business that I can survive on it, but I'm also doing a good job networking and building community and getting to a place where I can access opportunities like gallery spaces or I don't know what else, just that I have the space to articulate these ideas of my art. So it's all feeling like it's really good timing. Where now I'm realizing that instead, well, where in the past I would do all my research and do my readings and observations and come up with my notes, and then the result would be that I would write something, an article or a paper. Now I'm painting something that is explaining the same thing, and that is really cool. It feels really awesome. Additionally, I also get to write and articulate the concept. Like, these paintings don't speak for themselves, but I'm able to say, here is a visual representation of my take on this thought. And if you can look at it and hopefully it says something to you, but then additionally, I can say a bunch of words to go with it and makes you look at it and engage with that thought as well. So this is kind of where I'm coming at this project, with this whole idea of pathways and human marks on the land. I'm just going to go back to what's on the screen here. The part that we're at right now is where I've added a few layers of color, and the paper is buckling quite a lot because I didn't wet it or anything ahead of time on purpose, because I wanted to, I find that this project I'm working on, the act of painting it is also engaging with the topography, because as the water and the paper interact with each other, there is change to the landscape. It buckles, it is wrinkling, things are rising and falling. And so as I continue to make marks upon it, and where that stands in for footfalls, it's pooling. And I find that the way that the paint interacts with itself is so beautiful. Like, one of the colors that I'm using here is a gold watercolor paint. I think it's a Winsor Newton pan. I don't remember the exact color. But what I've noticed is that when I load up the brush with it and water, it acts almost like soap and food coloring and water. I don't know if you've ever done that experiment as a kid when you put you put the soap on the water and all the color runs away from it. I hope you know what I'm talking about. The gold paint pushes away all the green pigment. So it creates these sort of starbursts. I don't know, it's giving map and landscape to me, but it's also very beautiful and almost like a petri dish. There's something very organic about it. So so one part of me expressing this concept of how do we, as people, impact the land through our community building and through human effort. And I don't mean like big effort, I just mean the simple act of walking and going to and from houses, or walking through the countryside, how we change the land beneath us. The act of me painting this is also emulating that. So it's kind of one of the things in the book that I was referencing was talking about how thinking and walking are highly connected. So I've certainly experienced where I can have really great ideas while I'm walking. And if I'm doing really big intellectual projects or like a writing project, I'd like go for daily walks and I just like lock into my own brain and I like leave my body behind. And it's the motion of walking that gets me thinking. And I found that this process of painting this piece is very similar, where I go into my head and I'm having thoughts while I'm making the marks. So anyways, that's a little bit too deep about that particular project because I'm still working on it and figuring out how I also want to articulate this thought philosophy thing to go along with the visuals. But we're going to get there because I'm still learning and I'm still working on this piece. And this is certainly not the only piece I'm going to do. I would say that this is like a prototype. And yeah, my next steps for this particular one is that when it's all dry, as I'm recording this, I think it's almost all dry. I literally filmed this evening. I'm going to go back. So at first I peel off all the tape and then I put roofs on the little buildings, just little red roofs, just because I like them to be uniform. It's not meant to be like, by making them one color and one shape, it takes away the individuality of them, which is meant to make them look more like a concept than an individual or specific place. But I'm going to use my tiny brushes and add in all sorts of details like trees and vines and just landscape stuff. And then, of course, the pathways and the roads. So, yeah, I guess let me know if this is a cool project to you, because I will definitely prioritize making more content about it as I finish more pieces and we can talk more about it and I can maybe get a bit more articulate about the thoughts behind it. Yeah, but that is basically where I'm at with my art business right now, is that I have lots of pieces I'm working on for my retail stuff, and I want to do a better job of doing like seasonal collections. I still only have like 1 full year of wholesale under my belt, so there's definitely holidays I would like to make more materials for my wholesale program. And I'm also trying to grow my wholesale program. Right now I have 6 stores that I sell to, but I would love to have 20 is my goal, honestly. I feel like if I hit 20 stores, that'll put me in a place where I'll feel really stable and it'll give me lots of time to work on painting for both the retail and the gallery stuff. So I guess that's kind of my little talk. I am excited about doing more paintings, but I'm also excited to do more textile art. I bought a free motion foot for my sewing machine, so I'd like to try and do some like embroidery or like machine embroidery drawings, which I think would be really cool. I saw a bunch of beautiful pieces when I was in Ilkley in England in 2024 at a gallery, which were like really cool combinations of paintings and sewing with paper that I just thought were so beautiful. So that is something I'm interested in trying. I have put together, or I sent off a pitch to a gallery who was doing a call for pieces, which would be like my first real show that I believe I would be paid as an artist to participate in it, which is really cool. I'm not super confident that I will be accepted because I don't have a really huge textile art portfolio. And I do, by the way, if you're interested, I updated my portfolio website, which is rebeccawilson.ca. I just updated it recently, like last week, with all new stuff, and I'm really proud of it. It's really cool to see all my work, and like there's a bit about like some of my topics that I'm interested in, and also links to all sorts of stuff that I make and teach and whatever. But yeah, so I don't have a lot of, I think there's only 1 piece on there. And actually I needed to rephotograph it now that I remember that. That is a piece of textile art. It's a rug hooking, because I used to work at a rug hooking museum for a summer job once, and they taught me how to do it, and I really love it. And so yeah, I've put together this pitch for this professional gallery show, and I feel like the pitch was really strong, but I could only have 250 words, and they said it was okay if you haven't made the piece yet, just to include concept art. And I don't know, like I literally don't have enough experience in this field to know whether that's like a trap where it's like they're not really going to accept anyone who doesn't have the piece done yet, or if it was genuinely okay. Because my piece concept art was all done and I have the materials, I just haven't actually done it. It's going to be like a 2 foot by 3 foot rug hooking, so it's quite a big piece. But I really, really want to make it. It would just be like, it would enable me to set aside the time to focus on it if it was accepted to this show. So hopefully by the end of January, maybe I'll have an idea if that's going to go ahead. I think that's roughly the timeline they said, but we'll see. Yeah, and that piece, which I had to condense my whole little thesis statement to 250 words, but is another one of these like thesis statements that I've developed through some research and reading. And this one is more about the identity of Nova Scotians and how it relates to perception, both externally and internally. So what I mean by that is, from what I've read, I guess pre-World War I, or before the interwar period, the way that Nova Scotia was advertised to people as a tourist destination was very much like, you know, grand houses and gardens and like very traditional in terms of the way that they advertise things in England or big cities. And then during the interwar period, this like rugged individualism thing really popped up where Peggy's Cove and lighthouses and like fisherman life became like really popularized in terms of media representation. So like paintings and brochures and advertising in any way. And since then, it's sort of a lot of people who live here, I think, have embraced that idea as like national provincial identity when it was really kind of a manufactured one that came from tourism marketing. So I think that's interesting. And what that led me to think was, is there a way to make a living as an artist without painting a lighthouse? Because in my experience, no, not in Nova Scotia. Like we all have to paint lighthouses at some point if you want to sell art. And I will say that I've probably sold more of my lighthouse art than anything. I only have like 2 paintings maybe with lighthouses. So that's really saying a lot. And so I wanted to engage with this idea of identity outside of iconography in our province. And so I won't say more about that in case I get to do that piece, but I'm wondering if that can maybe tie into this project as well. I don't know. We're going to have to see where it goes. Here's some close-ups of how the paint was moving. It's so beautiful. And that's kind of it for this video. So if you like this, please subscribe. Stay tuned. I love you. See you soon.